Good day, fellow Jersey nerds, and welcome to episode 38 of the Jersey Nerds podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your host, Ryan, and today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the ECHL 2019 All Star jerseys, the new Czech Hockey logo and jerseys, and we'll be reviewing the pairs competition entries. And of course, we also get into fake or authentic and throwback throwdown and all your other favorite things that we do on the Jersey Nerds podcast. And as always, we want you to get involved in our conversations. Let us know what you think, and maybe we can share them on the podcast next week or going forward. It always inspires new topics. You can email us, mailbag at HockeyJerseyConcepts.com, or you can contact us on Twitter at HockeyJC. Joining me are fellow writers every week, and of course, this week is no different. So Monday's writer, Shawn, you're back. What's going on?
I'm back. I took a 1-week vacation, as when you work at a grocery store, the day after Canada Day is a very busy one, so I had the earliest of early morning shifts, but I'm back. Technical difficulties aside, I'm rocking my 1998-2001 Anaheim alternate. Fantastic jersey. Nike made a good replica back in the day. Don't know what happened to them in the recent years, but you know what? Good pickup.
Who are you going to get on your jersey? Did you decide yet?
You have completely convinced me to get Steve Ruchin.
Stevie Ruchin. He wore 20 for the Ducks?
He did, and what's nice about that is that this jersey has a nice rounded font for it, and there's nothing, I think, better when you're picking a rounded font jersey to get a nice 0 on there.
There you go. Also joining us this week, Friday's writer, TC. What's going on?
The air conditioning is broken in my house, so I'm podcasting in a lovely 88 degrees Fahrenheit with 90% humidity in Georgia.
That's why you're not wearing a hockey jersey.
Yes, it is entirely too hot to be wearing any jersey.
I'm half surprised to be wearing a shirt right now.
I put it on just so y'all wouldn't have to see my chest.
Tonight on the Shirtless Podcast, Shirts versus Skins is Ryan and Bevo. Get ready for some oily fun.
What the hell? Oh,
HJC
boy.
After Dark?
After dark.
Pick up the phone. No, never mind. Anyways, also joining us, fill-in writer, friend of the show. You did, Thursday's post this week or last week? Beepo, what's going on?
About to do a podcast again. Ryan, how about you?
Oh, that works out nicely because we are doing a podcast. So,
I guess you decided that you are doing it?
I'm going to be on the podcast this week. Yep.
Okay.
So
okay.
I think that'll work.
You seemed a little bit unsure right before the podcast started.
I didn't really feel it, but now that we're 3 minutes in, I think I'm going to stick around. So we're all here. We're all accounted for. Let's get started. And our first topic on today's podcast is the 2019 ECHL All Star Weekend jerseys. This is really unique because this year, the Toledo Walleye, 2019, the Toledo Walleye will be the hosts, and they've introduced 5 different jerseys that are going to be used for this event. They have the All Star Weekend navy blue jersey. Their team is going to be split into 2 squads, the Hooks and the Finns. So they have a yellow jersey for the Hooks, a white jersey for the Finns, and then the rest of the league is split into East and West. And the East will be wearing red jerseys, the West will be wearing blue jerseys. This is really unique to see 5 different colored jerseys. They all have the same pattern. They have 2 hem stripes. In between the 2 hem stripes, on some jerseys, it is colored. But there's also stars running in between those 2 hem stripes. Has sleeves, and then it has 3 angled stripes within the sleeves. And each jersey features its own special logo. So definitely impressed with what they're going to be, the number of jerseys they're going to be using for All-Star Weekend. Let's start with something that you like about all of these jerseys, or just maybe specifically, Shawn.
Of the 5, for sure, my favorite is the yellow. I really like this Hooks jersey. I think that it's the first Toledo jersey I've seen, and I look at it and I say, the Hooks work as a primary logo. There's no bad jersey in this set. The worst of them is probably the All Star Weekend jersey, but again, I get it. Like, you're going into the weekend the day before, you want something nice. It's the same template. And the East versus West is very simple. We got color versus color versus color, which is really nice. And I like that it goes for the NHL style now, where we got the 4 teams, but it does something unique, and I'd like to see this trend continue.
TC, what do you like about what's going on here?
I just really like that it's a solid template that works in so many different ways. Like, you have the All-Star Weekend one and the Hooks and Fins in one color scheme. Then you have the West in one color scheme and the East in one color scheme. And all of them work really well. I would say my favorite of all of them is the Fins. I just really like that light blue yoke on the white. Just to echo Shawn, I think the All-Star Weekend one is the weakest of them all, but it's still a good-looking jersey. It works. And I'd say this is one of the few times where I've seen that star pattern in the hem stripe actually work really well.
It looks just the type of star that they've used. It looks very modern and clean, I think. Early 90s NHL did it. They might have done it on some other All-Star jerseys too. But in this particular instance, I think it looks really modern, really clean. Beepo, what do you like about the ECHL All-Star sets?
Slightly off topic. Didn't the NHL have stars in the hem stripes for the 2017 All-Star game? Weren't there stars in the stripes on that one? Or am I?
Probably.
There were stars in the numbers, too, for that game. That was a weird one. Yeah, but the difference between those is that those were straight stars. They're just standard stars. These are angled to fit sort of with the Toledo Walleye logo and the logo for the game.
Yeah, it's almost an italicized star.
Yeah.
A skewed star.
And I didn't say it was the only one I've seen. I said it's the only one I've seen that I liked, just to clarify.
Yeah. No, I thought Ryan said they did in the early 90s and forgot about 2017.
Oh, I just went to my favorite jersey, favorite All-Star game jersey, naturally.
But anyways, back to these jerseys. I have to agree that they're all very solid. And one thing that's very strong on all of them are the logos. The logos on all of them look great. And I really like on the East and West ones how they actually have custom logos there instead of just pulling an NHL and sticking the league logo on the front. My favorite one still has to be the yellow one, just like Shawn. The amount of color on it and the variety of colors makes it look great. The East and West aren't too far behind, but the only thing that really bothers me on these is the inconsistency between the arms and the hem, but it's not even that bad on these ones. It doesn't bother me all that much, and it might just be because since they're in a contrasting yoke that they aren't necessarily, it's not like glaring out at you that they look different because they're opposite colors, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite of the bunch is actually the All-Star Weekend jersey. I like what it is. I like that they're going to use a special jersey on the All-Star Weekend. It's still a regular season game, but they're doing something to denote that it's a different game. It's a special weekend for them. I like all the jerseys. My least favorite is the white one, but it still gets a really solid 8 out of 10. I think that's still a great jersey. And like you guys have mentioned, the East and the West getting their own logos, I think is really cool. And the fact that they have really nice looking jerseys and they're not, I guess they're a little crazy, but they still fit within the realm of a traditional hockey jersey, I think you could say. So overall, I think that the whole set is really, really solid. Shawn, if you had to rate the entire set out of 10, what are you thinking?
As a whole, I'm going to give it a solid 8. I think at the high end, it's a 9. At the low end, it's a 7. And the East versus West kind of evens it out there at an 8. So, yeah, let's just go with 8 out of 10.
TC?
I'm going to give it an 8.5. I just think even the weakest of them is a strong jersey. Like, in a vacuum, it would be a great-looking jersey. It just happens to be of all of these.
Beepo.
I think I've got to agree with TC there and go with an 8.5 out of 10. I really don't understand how the ECHL and AHL are able to seemingly consistently show up the NHL in All-Star jerseys, or at least these past two. I don't remember some of the other ones, but this and the AHL's last All-Star jerseys are probably better than anything the NHL has put out in years.
Totally agreed. 100% agreed. I think the NHL, this is just my opinion, but I think the NHL uses the All-Star game to really push some boundaries on what they can do with jerseys and what they should do with jerseys. I don't think they really use it as an opportunity. Whereas the ECHL, who knows, they may be auctioning off these jerseys, or they may be hoping to sell them, and you can't have a bad design if you're hoping to sell some of these and make some money. So as far as my rating, I'm going to go ahead and give them a 9. I really, really, really enjoy all 5 jerseys. I think it's totally worth a 9. It's really solid. There's nothing on them that I dislike. I love the variety of logos, but at the same time, you can totally tell they all belong to the same event. So I'm going to give this a 9. Total scores and average score between the 4 of us is 8.5 for the entire set of All-Star Game jerseys. So that's really solid. Toledo Walleye, CCM, ECHL, fantastic job on these. These are very, very good. Our next topic, we're going to move on to Czech Hockey. And they came out with a new logo and new jerseys, which we saw courtesy of sportslogos.net. This kind of came out of the blue. But the logo is a lion's head with very sharp points to illustrate the mane. And of course, the lion is wearing a crown, and the crown changes colors based on the international level of play that the players are going to be playing. They also demonstrated new jerseys. They have a red jersey. They also have a white jersey. There's a sleeve pattern, which is white and outlined in blue, also in the same pattern as the lion's mane. The new logo is on the front. Unfortunately, there's a rather large word mark unnecessarily placed under the logo that says Czech Republic, or I guess it would say Czech Republic in Czech for some other tournaments. And the font used on the jersey...
Česká republika.
The font on the jersey is a somewhat basic, kind of just rounded font, but Czech Hockey says it is a custom font. So let's take a look at this, and we'll start with the things that you do like about the new logo and jersey. Shawn.
Yeah, so what I like about it is rounded font, perhaps.
Shocker.
I don't know. This is a tough one because on the one hand, this is a very genuinely Czech jersey. I like the Czech Republic with a team that's lots of red and lots of white as a secondary color and a little bit of blue. I like the fact that there's angled striping to match the logo. I like the idea of putting the Czech Republic flag in the collar insert. That's a unique idea. I like I just think that this is a solid international jersey in many fronts. The problem is what's bad is pretty bad. As you mentioned, the font on the jersey itself is good, but it looks terrible in that stupid script. That really, to me, kills it. While the LA Kings maybe got away with it, there's almost no team that this works for. And on top of that, the primary logo, didn't they get in trouble for using one of the three birds from their crest?
It's because they broke up the crest. You're not supposed to break up the crest. So this is a stylized version of the lion from the coat of arms.
Okay, so, I mean, in that case, it's okay. I don't think they need... I mean, I get the gold, don't get me wrong, but just adding that little bit of gold in there, I think that sometimes you can add a color scheme, or add a color to the color scheme, but here it's like gold, but there's nowhere else on it. Honestly, you could have added it to the jersey. So I'm stuck on this one, and I think I really have to see it, in the gear. I need to see what kind of gear they're wearing. Because if it's blue gear, this is going to work. If it's red gear, this is going to look terrible. And on top of that, I just really want to see, how it looks on the ice. Because I think what the World Cup of Hockey showed was that, international hockey, jerseys can look solid, but once you get the gear going, it can take away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's agreed. Also, I just noticed this staring at the logo. So if you look at the logo on its own, and again, I'm on sportslogos.net. So it looks like, I interpret it as the tongue is coming out of the lion's mouth. But then the way they've outlined it in white, if you look at the view on the red jersey, it actually looks like the lion is eating a puck. So that's
it looks like a beak.
a beak.
It looks because the way that they've kind of isometrically drawn the mouth, the tooth kind of comes in like it's one big tooth in the center of the mouth, aka a beak.
I can see that. If you look at it on the red jersey, it looks like that beak is chewing on a puck, which I think is a little hokey. Let's go to TC for first what you liked and then what you kind of didn't like.
What I like that they stuck with red as the primary. I like the sort of jagged sleeve striping and sublimated markings in the arms to match the logo. I actually, right when you were about to announce it, like I noticed it just then looking at it. And as soon as you said, looking at the logo, I said, yep, I know what he's going to say. I initially didn't see that puck. I agree with you. It's kind of hokey, but at first glance, I really like the logo ahead of that. I'm going to disagree with Shawn. I like the idea of changing up the color of the crown. I think that's a good way to distinguish when someone's graduated from junior hockey to the big leagues. And I know you were saying about the font, it's just a rounded font. I think when they're saying the custom font, they're talking about the little ridges on the interior that they have, like the body of the actual numbers to match the sort of sublimated, jagged pattern that they have in the arms.
Yeah.
Apparently that's fur. It's supposed to be fur.
Fantastic.
So they're a Yeti popping out of their shirt. All right.
They are the furry checks.
Onto the things I didn't like. I know it's kind of hard to pull off with a more modern striping like this, but the lack of hem stripe bothers me. I really hate when jerseys don't have a hem stripe. And again, that word mark below the logo is completely unnecessary.
All right, Beepo, what do you like? And then what do you not like?
Overall, I'm a pretty big fan of this redesign. The logo especially stands out as really well, or is really good, really well. I don't know. Same difference. The puck, I guess you guys didn't really read the article on it because he mentioned the puck in the article. But I don't dislike it as much as you guys seem to. It looks a little bit weird on the red jersey, the way that the puck kind of sticks out. But if it's on a white background, I actually think it works pretty well. And onto the jersey, I really do like the Czech flag in the collar insert. But the rest of the jersey, aside from the logo, is a little bit amateur looking to me. The sublimation in the arms is kind of iffy. I mean, you don't notice it that much, but it's enough to kind of make it look odd. And I think that, and again, the lack of hemistripe makes it look a little bit amateurish in the jagged arms. I think that could kind of be straightened out. I'm not huge on the rounded font either, and especially the word mark on the front isn't great. But the gold crown, too, I absolutely love that, like TC said, and I don't think it stands out in a way that it draws your eye to it as a bad thing. I think it subtly is just integrated really well. And, the only other thing, I was kind of thinking, they basically took part of their coat of arms and simplified it. I wonder if they could do that to each sector of that coat of arms and put it in there, and then just have a simplified coat of arms on the jersey rather than just that part. And the only way to really do that without it kind of having an LA Kings syndrome of a really busy logo made really small is to kind of remove that shading detail that they have in there. But I think that could work really well if done right.
All right, I'm going to stick with the logo. I think the logo is the strong point here. The only thing that takes away from it is the lion chewing on the puck. I mean, it just seems like a bad Hollywood script or something like that. I don't think it's needed. I love the addition of the gold crown for the higher level, the professional players, and the lower level players will wear the silver crown. It's kind of like, you got to earn that crown. You got to get to that level. As far as the jersey, not impressed. I do like the use of the Czech flag in the collar insert, but then, that's a CCM jersey trait. So is that going to be there in the same way on a Nike jersey. I don't see that happening. I appreciate the effort with the kind of fur design on the sleeves, but it's just not doing it for me. But then again, I'm boring and love classic stripes, so maybe should move on from that. The word mark on the front of the jersey below the logo is just completely unnecessary. It really brings it down, almost makes it look like an ad on the jersey when it doesn't need to be there. And this font is pretty basic. Nothing special about it. I don't think it really adds anything to the jersey. It just makes it very plain. So would have liked some more character there, but I think the strong suit here is the logo and the variations that they can use. Shawn, if you're going to give the whole thing a rating, the whole package a rating out of 10, what would you give it?
With what we just have now, I'm going to give it a 6. I like it more than, honestly, what the Czech Republic's worn as of recent. I think that their original World Cup of Hockey away jersey, probably their best jersey since, 98, let's say. But as is, I think this is a way of the Czech Republic finally getting a new identity. It has a lot of potential, and I think it'll generate a lot of concepts. So let's say a 6.5. And yeah, I look forward to seeing the rest of it.
TC?
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7. I think it's a definite upgrade. It's a unique look. It's definitely an improvement from what they had before. And, there are some things wrong with it, but I think the good outweighs the bad on this one.
Beepo.
One quick comment before I get to my rating. The only thing that I can actually really see them including that word mark for on the front is kind of like, hey, we have a new logo now. Let's add that word mark so that way we can get a little bit of brand recognition so people know who we are at this point. Kind of like what Tampa did with their old away jerseys. I don't necessarily agree with the move, but I think that might be the thinking behind it. But my rating would have to be an 8 for the logo, a 5 for the jerseys, and then overall that would average out to a 6.5.
All right, and I feel like I should give this a 7. I'm not impressed with the jersey, but I think put the whole package together, and overall it's an improvement from what they have. So I do love the logo, like I mentioned. But so the whole package, I think, gets a 7. It's an improvement from what they had, so that's a good move. And I think there's always room to build on this, and it could get better over time. So just looking at our ratings here, 26.5 divided by 4. I don't know. That's for the
6.75.
There you go. 6.75. TC comes through in the clutch.
Woo!
Good work, Czech Republic. 6.75. There's room for improvement. Let's see that improvement going forward. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the 2018 Pairs competition, which we just wrapped up on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. This is going to be a really quick recap, kind of some notes on what we liked, what we didn't like. We will be going through it presentation by presentation, but it's a really quick recap. And just this is one of the highlights of the year competition-wise on the blog. I found the last couple years it has lost steam because we do have a lot of people who aren't necessarily into logo design, so they will skip this competition because there is a heavy logo design aspect to it. But still, the entries that we got, really love the effort that people put into it. I think it was a 3-week entry phase period, so the teams had 3 weeks to work on it. We had ratings all week, and the winners at the end of the week were Beepo and Justin B., our Thursday writer. They came out on top, which I guess seems a little fishy now, thinking about it, but their presentation was the best. They won with a 8.24 average rating. Second place was Dylan T. and JJ with a 7.94 average rating. William and Vaughn had 6.93, and Burka Circus and Noah B. had 6.45. So let's start with their presentation, which was the first up. It's the Centennial Classic. And just quickly looking at it, the logo, I totally see what they're going for there. Love the effort put into it. Love the presentation of the jerseys. They used Matt McElroy's full body template, really cleanly presented. You can catch all these presentations on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. With their wildcard page, they went with the ice surface, which was not too bad. But overall, I think their presentation received a fair rating at 6.45, and I always will commend anybody who takes a chance on logo design. I don't know about you guys. Did anything stick out here that you want to mention on this presentation?
Like you said, logo design is not easy. Take it from me. It's taken years to really sort of refine my skills in that, and I'm still not even all that amazing at it. I still have a ways to go. So I got to commend everybody in this competition for doing that, for sure. It's not easy. And from this presentation, I think the jerseys are really strong on this one, but the Minnesota one especially sticks out to me a little bit. I'm not really sure what the motivation behind using gray in the design was. I'm not a huge fan of that. And I think this would have been a great opportunity to use Minnesota's wheat color as a vintage white. I think this is one of the teams that can pull it off without it being kind of tacky.
Great point.
Not that the white looks bad, but I think it would have been a great opportunity for the vintage white or wheat color.
Yep, that's a great point there. Anything stick out to anybody else here?
I think the one thing that I'm not a fan of here, and this is the red jerseys. And I think that here, the white jerseys are very strong, particularly that Minnesota jersey. That really knocked it out of the park there. I love the canvas gloves. The Wisconsin jersey, I think, is close to being something good, but I can't see the logo. And that's the biggest problem with it, is that when you put a red logo on a red jersey with a white stripe that doesn't completely engulf it, it becomes very difficult to see. And the same thing with the red numbers. And the thing about outdoor games is you have to understand, obviously, that when you're watching on TV, it looks the same as any other hockey game, but the fans in the stands, there's a reason why at most outdoor games the numbers are oversized. It is a matter of the fact that, the fans can't really read the numbers. So doing that, I think, kind of takes away from that. And on top of that, there's nothing about the Blackhawks jersey that I think really solidifies it as a Blackhawks jersey. I don't really see this fitting in with their identity. I don't think that the addition of silver really adds anything here. And on the one hand, I very much respect that they took a chance with this. I really appreciate that they went outside of just reissuing another Blackhawks alternate, another Blackhawks throwback. This is a completely new jersey, and while it didn't work, I can really appreciate the fact that they tried something new.
All right, let's move on to the next presentation. Go ahead.
Just to clear something up real quick, I was talking about the Minnesota Wild jerseys whenever I was making my other comment, not the Gophers.
Yep.
I completely forgot, it just slipped my mind that they had two Minnesota teams.
Let's move on to William and Vaughn's presentation, which was for the University Classic. They finished with an average score of 6.93. I love that they added a page that you didn't have to add. It was a simple page with a blurb about the event. I think that really adds some context to the presentation. Again, I think the logo here is really good. Probably the strongest bit of their whole presentation. I love that it may be a little clip arty. I think it's a clip art image, but the stadium image there within the logo I think is cool. I love the whole idea. Really love the extra bits that went into the presentation, and using that the very popular sportstemplates.net full body template always helps with concepts and the presentation. So really went in depth here. And then of course the wildcard page was merchandise, which I think just really went above and beyond and did a lot of extra stuff here, which really looks great. I don't know if anybody else has some thoughts on William and Vaughn's presentation for the University Classic.
This was my favorite one. And it's, again, I think they were all solid in their own right. But this one here, I like the fact that they went with a Canadian, mainly university. Canadian university, the U Sports doesn't really get a lot of concepts made for it, frankly. It's not the NCAA, I'll be blunt. It doesn't have the same reach, the same fan base. But I'm glad that they went with this, because they took an identity in UBC that is very generic in terms of like being a collegiate athletic, and they turned not one but two unique jerseys out of it. The Minnesota jersey, again, simple, basic enough, matches the logo. I appreciate the detail of putting the name bar under the numbers on women's jerseys. That is correct execution, as most women's teams do this. And my favorite of these was the UBC men's jersey. It's so simple. It really is. It's a big yellow stripe with a slightly smaller but big white stripe and the isolated logo. But there's just something about it that works. It's like such a simple design, but at the same time, it works with the logo very well, and everything works together here. And as Ryan said, the presentation was fantastic. Again, this looks like you had the planning of a real event. So good job, guys.
Yeah, definitely. I looking at it, I think I rated it higher than what the average rating came out to be. I was probably coming in around 8.5 or 9 on this one, but that's just how it rolled out. But I still think this presentation probably deserved a little better than it got. Anybody else with any quick thoughts on this one from William and Vaughn?
Just to try to avoid overlapping comments, because I agree with a lot of what was mentioned. I really like how they decided for their presentation to kind of go with the style guide sort of approach rather than just having images. I really like that. It sets it off as unique from the get-go. And just jersey-wise, I think the evening game has to be the stronger one for me. They're all very strong jerseys, but I love the red versus blue matchup, even though it's not, a red jersey. It's a nice red versus blue matchup, and I think the Simon Fraser University one has to be the best jersey in my opinion. I just really like the very vintage yet clean look of it, and the UBC men's one isn't too far behind.
TC, any thoughts here?
I'm going to be the one that says I think the UBC women's jersey is the strongest. I just really like it. It's a good, clean look. The flipping of the striping on the hem, it's not a huge difference, but the way that it almost lines up with the striping in the arms, so that yellow stripe is almost a complete cut across the uniform, just really looks great to me. With Beepo, Simon Fraser is another great one, and I think the idea of having the apparel section was great because absolutely at events like this, they're going to have some sort of merchandise that they'll be trying to hawk. So I think that was a very smart play on the part of William and Vaughn.
Definitely. Good points there. Very interesting to see where it finished, but that's how it finished. Moving on to our third presentation, Dylan T and JJ. They scored an average score of 7.94. A little bit different here because they did present in sort of PowerPoint presentation, which was not necessarily difficult to present on the blog, but just different from what we got. I don't know if you guys have any comments on this one. Maybe something that you liked about it.
The logo is beautiful.
The event logo, the stadium series.
That is an absolutely gorgeous event logo right there. Like that nails it.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think the logos are definitely the strong point of this one.
It looks really good.
Or not necessarily, well, the strong point of this one for sure, but probably the best in the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, the logo is exceptional, and it gets the point across right away as to what it is. It's Stadium Series. It's in Las Vegas. The colors look really, really fantastic here, and the variations of the logo presented, I think, really help with the extra points that were available. So I think that helped them score a few extra points. Anything that maybe you guys saw in this presentation that wasn't quite what you wanted to see?
That Coyotes jersey.
Yeah.
I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to tie Arizona Diamondbacks, who have a very similar color scheme, and they introduced that teal. That's what I assume they're doing, but it has nothing to do with the Coyotes, and it just sticks out like a sore thumb. And the fact that it's not even a Kachina pattern, it's more like a lopsided checkerboard pattern in the striping. For such strong logos and presentation, the jersey design really let me down with this one.
Yeah, I don't want to echo much of what TC said, but the Vegas jersey is all right. It's passable. it gets the job done, I think, and I like that it goes for, honestly, what has now become, I think, an unpopular trend in giving Vegas a black jersey. Where I think the Arizona jersey goes wrong, as TC mentioned, is the addition of teal. In that, there's a weird 50s like restaurant vibe I get from this jersey. The pattern used here that I think is trying to emulate the Kachina pattern looks like just like ceramic tiles, I think, on the wall, and the teal has that sort of 50s car color to it. Instead of, I'm not sure what it is about this, but I really get the idea that this is supposed to be sort of faux retro, and it's like a modernized sort of simplification of things that didn't need to be, I think, modernized and simplified. I think that if you had gone with the green here, like the standard Phoenix green, this would have looked all right. I think that would have saved it, even if you didn't change the pattern. But yeah, I think that also I do like that it was a risk, though. I do like that they took a chance and added teal of all colors, a color that is notorious for being added to teams' color schemes and not working out. That they tried it.
Beepo, any thoughts here on this thing?
Two quick comments. For one, the TV numbers are actually applied the wrong way. They're on the bottom of the arms. I think Dylan's fixed this since on his jerseys, but it's a little bit not necessarily funny, but it's just kind of, I don't really know what the word for it is, but I'm imagining the numbers on the bottom of the sleeves, but I'm not even sure anybody would have noticed it. It doesn't even look that odd, just considering what the template is, but it's still technically incorrect. And then, just to kind of piggyback on the whole teal conversation, I don't really hate it as much as you guys do, but I think it would look a little bit better if you switched the teal for green, kind of like the approach that me and Justin took, because through this I learned that I really love black, brick, sand, and green for Arizona, and I think that would look really nice on this jersey too.
Couple just highlights as I'm flipping through the presentation here. I like the image of the billboard that they provided as part of their wildcard pages, and I think the ticket design is pretty spot on. So both those items were really solid. Really enjoyed that presentation. Now let's go to our winners, and we have one of them here with us on the podcast, Beepo and Justin. You guys did the 2021 NHL Stadium Series featuring Winnipeg and Arizona from Winnipeg. While you're here, Beepo, just walk us through a quick rundown of what you guys did and how some of these things came about.
Well, we were basically decided to go Stadium Series from the very beginning, just because it gave us a little bit more creative leeway. A Winter Classic basically almost shoehorns you into a vintage-looking design. And while it's not necessarily a bad thing, as you can tell, other people in this competition took that approach, we just wanted a little bit more creative leeway on it. And the original logo draft actually was a combination of the Arizona and Manitoba outlines. That didn't work out too well, so then you ended up getting what's here. I don't need to explain much about what we actually have, because I didn't leave much of that to the imagination in the presentation. But the other thing that I think may have put us over the top is the photoshopping of the jerseys onto the players. I had that idea pretty early on, and I was hoping it could put us over the top, and according to the votes, maybe it did.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys see in this presentation or what you like and what you don't like. Just let us know. Go ahead, Shawn.
I'm notoriously picky with Winnipeg jerseys. And maybe in the same vein that Ryan is notoriously picky with Leafs jerseys.
I'm going to be honest, Shawn. I think just about every fan is probably notoriously picky with their own team's jerseys. So
it's very true.
I'm the same way with the Rangers jerseys.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the Rangers throw you a curveball every century.
Yep.
Here's my problem with the Jets jersey, and it's very minor. And it just stems from, and this is since they unveiled it. I've tried this myself. The Jets do kind of need to be double blue, I think, for that color scheme to really work, or you need to add red. And I'm just not a fan of adding red, so I think that here, maybe adding double blue would have, brightened up the jerseys a little bit, maybe added some color to it. I just think there's a lot of plain areas on it. I really, really like that yoke pattern. I love the shoulder patch. Actually, the shoulder patch, I think, is a keeper out of this. The font, I don't like that style, but a lot of people do, and frankly, I'd rather have it than not. And that stripe style, this is nothing, against it, but the number of Islanders concepts I've seen with something similar to that, it's muted me to that pattern. And don't do that anymore with Islanders concepts, please. As for Arizona, beautiful, no complaints. Everything about it is fantastic. This is the real winner, I think, especially in that whatever you added to the arm, that Kachina sort of patch.
It's the pattern from the inside of their collar that they currently use.
That's fantastic. That's a real keeper there. In fact, I like that. In theory, if you wanted to use this full time, move the numbers down, add the A paw patch. It's beautiful. Like, it's a full-time alternate right there. As is, it's a full-time alternate. But I think if you really want to, take it that step further and really bring it, get rid of the football numbers and all that. But yeah, no, you really nailed Arizona's looks. The Stadium Series logo is fantastic. Even the Coors Light sponsorship, you guys added that. Like, that's a detail. The wheat field's fantastic. And I like that you put the speed art in it. I think that's something that the concept world could use.
All right,
yeah,
TC.
Shawn, just to explain a little bit more, the Winnipeg jersey is so white because we kind of went for a snow versus sand theme. And I guess the sand doesn't really come up as much on Arizona because it's a black jersey, but we really went for like a snow sort of theme on the Winnipeg jersey, at least color-wise. So just a little explanation there.
TC, what did you think about this presentation?
I thought it was great. The logo, just the explanations that they gave for everything in their logo, it shows that they put a lot of thought into this series. I love the Winnipeg jersey. The alternate shoulder patch looks fantastic. The sublimated pattern from the bridge on the shoulders looks fantastic. Unlike Shawn, I do think that that's a great font choice for the Jets. I will say the striping pattern on the arms is, I do understand that it's the sort of the nod to the Air Force, but it is a little busy for me. As for the Coyotes, shocker, Shawn liked the black jersey. I'm normally not a huge fan of black, but the Coyotes are a team that I actually think it makes sense for. I love the arm striping, and the little Kachina logo from the collar looks fantastic. I think that's something that absolutely should be utilized. The hem stripe, I'm not really sold on. It's a little too chunky for me, and I know the angled thing is a nod to the Desert Scape jersey, but it really should just really should just stick with that jersey because it only works for that one. Yeah. And I will say the speed art was a fantastic wild card to throw in.
I'm going to be honest with you. The reason that we ended up going with the speed art was part because we were kind of running out of time on finishing it. And I figured, hey, that would be a pretty decent wild card. And because all I had to do was record my screen while I did the other part. And I think it works well as a wild card. Of course, I included it, but I'll be honest, it was just completely because we were running out of time. And also, I have to say, as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of black jerseys normally, but after making this concept, I think this is Arizona's ideal color scheme right here. I love it.
As far as the Arizona jersey, I agree with TC about the hem stripe being chunky, but I think the logo on the arm stripe is fantastic. Winnipeg's jersey here is a winner all around. Love everything about it. Love the pattern on the shoulder yokes. Love the font. Love the shoulder patches. And I really appreciate that you guys did one page that showed like a clean presentation of the logo and the jerseys. And then the next page was the description of everything that's going on there. So I think overall this presentation should have won. I think it's fantastic. Really quality all around. And as far as the speed art, I think that could have worked. It works best as the wildcard page, but I think it also would have really worked well as even a teaser too. But this presentation deserved to win, and it did win. And I didn't want to include it in this week's Concept of the Week vote, but it will be showing up in next week's Concept of the Week vote. I'll use the final image there with Line and Larson and the Stadium Series logo. That'll end up going into the Concept of the Week vote. So those were the main topics that we're going to cover. Now we're going to move into all our usual features, and we're going to start off with Throwback Throwdown. For this week's Throwback Throwdown, we're traveling back in time to the 1985-1986 season, and it's a yellow jersey battle. And during that season, two teams that were wearing yellow jerseys were the Los Angeles Kings and the Vancouver Canucks. Los Angeles, this is a very classic jersey. I'd refer to this as the Dave Taylor jerseys or even the Bernie Nichols jerseys, but these, we're just looking at the yellow jersey. We got a yellow jersey, or gold, I guess, if you want to call it that, with the form blue hem stripe outlined in two white stripes. And then it has the kind of curved sleeve design, which is also in form blue, again, outlined in white. And it has the classic crown logo on the front, basic block font for the numbers. As far as the Vancouver Canucks, this is my favorite all-time Canucks jersey. Again, we're talking about the yellow jersey. One broad red stripe, one broad black stripe on the arms and hem. It's got the spaghetti skate logo. And then the V, they made the move, moving the V off the chest and onto the arms. It kind of becomes the yoke stripes. And the V is made up of a red line and a black line. So we're only looking at the yellow jerseys here. TC, why don't you tell us what you think about the Vancouver jersey?
Overall, it's a pretty solid jersey. I like the orange and black striping. I really like the V in the yoke stripe. My only real problem with this is that with the combination of the yoke stripe and the arm stripe, it really crowds the TV numbers. They're pressed right up on those arm stripes, and it's just ends up being a cluttered looking design.
Beepo, thoughts on the Vancouver jersey?
As you guys know, I'm normally a huge fan of color, and while I like it here, it might be a little bit too in your face on this one, but I think it's a simple fix on this to just maybe take that orangish red color and make it mute it a little bit more. But other than that, it's a pretty nice jersey. I like the V on the yokes. It's a little bit too much to come back today, but it worked really well for its time. Same with the V on the pants. And it's just a simple yet in-your-face design. I really like the yellow helmet, too, as I do with Pittsburgh in the Stadium Series and Nashville currently. And honestly, just remove that yoke, and I think this could actually come back today.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's meant, it fits the era, 85, 86. It's still loud and in your face, same way that the Flying V, I guess, jersey was before it, but they've modeled it after a classic hockey jersey. But I also agree with TC that the V on the yokes really scrunches up those TV numbers. But not every game was televised back in 85, 86, so maybe it wasn't a huge concern. But like I said, this is my favorite Canucks jersey. Let's go to LA's gold jersey. And TC, you can lead us off here.
Well, we're now moving from Ryan's favorite Canucks jersey to my favorite Kings jersey all time. As y'all know, I'm based in Georgia, but I was born in Los Angeles, so I do have a special place in my heart for the Kings.
Born in Los Angeles, based in Georgia, and a New York Rangers fan.
Yeah, it's a long story. I'm an equal opportunity citizen of the world. I will say I love I guess it's an extended yoke that swoops down into the arms. I love that design. I love the way the forum blue plays off of the gold. The simple white stripe works really well to border the forum blue and the yellow, and it really doesn't get that yellow on white syndrome. My only real issue with this is that the crown logo is a little too small on the chest for me.
Beepo, thoughts on LA's gold jersey?
Again, I love color, and this has a lot of it. It looks absolutely great. This is my favorite LA color scheme. I really want them to bring it back. I doubt they will because they won 2 cups in black and white, but I would love if they brought this back full time. It's a really great color balance, having the purple yolks and hem stripes. It's all very consistent. Yeah, and I have to agree with TC. The logo might be a little bit small, and again, the yellow helmet, it looks great, I think. I don't really have much more to say than another pretty simple design that works really well.
For me, I love the yellow helmet, like you said. I agree with you guys on the logo being too small. I preferred the purple one, but we're looking at the yellow one, or I guess I preferred the foreign blue one, whatever.
Foreign purple.
Foreign purple. I like what TC said about it doesn't suffer from yellow on white syndrome. You can see all 3 colors very clearly, very identifiable what team this is for. I find it basic, so maybe a little too basic, but it's definitely not a horrible jersey. It's still a very solid jersey. TC, who you got here? Who's your winner? Vancouver yellow or LA yellow?
As much as I love the spaghetti skate era, and I do like that jersey, I got to give this one to my hometown team. I just think that the Forum blue and gold is a much better color scheme than yellow, orange, and black.
And Beepo, who are you going to give this one to?
It's close, but I think I'm going to have to give it to LA.
And LA will take this one. And I'm going to throw Vancouver a vote because I just love that jersey. It just reminds me of a very fun era of hockey where you could get away with big, loud yellow jerseys like Vancouver had. So the winner by a score of 2-1 is LA's gold jersey, the winner of this 1985-86 yellow jersey battle. It's time for Fake or Authentic. This is my favorite part of the podcast. This is where I give 3 statements that I believe they're typically authentic on my end. But this is the chance for the writers to chime in and say whether or not the statements are, just like the jerseys you see around NHL rinks, fake or authentic. Statement number 1. I don't care what color the home team wears as long as it's consistent across the entire league for the entire season. Fake or authentic, TC?
I'm going to say authentic. I really don't have a dog in the fight. I think it's fine to have the team wear their color jersey at home. I also like the idea of a team wearing white at home so that with each away game you get a different visual look as teams with red or blue or green jerseys come into town. It's not just watching the same color take on white every time. But honestly, there's a strong argument for either one. So as long as it's consistent, I really don't have a preference.
Beepo, fake or authentic?
I'm going to give 2 answers to this one. If we're talking purely colors or darks versus lights, then authentic. I mean, I prefer darks at home mainly because rep your own colors at home. And again, like TC said, there's arguments for both. But either way, I don't really care that much. But overall, I am a proponent of thinking that the NHL should go to a primary and clash system. I doubt they will ever do this, but I think that they should do that for multiple reasons. For one, because you can get that variety of other colors as well as wearing your own colors. And I think this would work really well if you have the home team being the one that changes their jerseys out, because then you can also get a variety of jerseys that you can go and see yourself rather than having like 2 select games a year that you can see the away jerseys at your own arena. But yeah, among other reasons, I ultimately would like them to switch to a primary and clash system.
See, the problem with that is logistics, because if you've got a team going on a long road trip and maybe one home team wants to wear their darker uniform while another home team wants to wear their lighter uniform, Well, then what's the road team that's traveling from Vancouver to Boston and then to Dallas? How are they going to figure it out?
Well, as I kind of mentioned, in that kind of case, the home team would be the one that alters their jersey choice to fit what the road team has with them. Because, again, for one, you get more of a variety for your home fans to see. And for one, from the logistics standpoint, there you go. You don't have to have the road team hauling multiple jerseys. But in the event that for some reason the home team really wanted to wear a certain jersey on a certain conflicting day like that, I'm sure they can orchestrate it ahead of time. They're the NHL. I'm sure they know how to do that.
Fair.
Well, like I mentioned, for me, again, I just like it to stay consistent. Don't care what color the home team does wear, but whatever color it is, I want it to stay consistent for all 41 home games, and that should be across the league. Next statement, fake or authentic, I prefer stitched stripes, the way that most Reebok Edge jerseys did it, rather than sublimated or knit stripes, which you find on most of the CCM vintage jerseys. Fake or authentic, TC?
Authentic. I just think it gives the jersey a better feel. It feels more well-made than sublimated. Sublimated stripes to me just kind of feel a little rinky-dink. I mean, they do allow for some more eye-popping designs, like the stars, big star design, the beloved Islanders fish stick. But I think overall, if you're looking for a jersey that wants to look more like an actual jersey and not something you would buy at Walmart, stitch stripes are the way to go.
Beepo?
100% agree with TC. It's authentic on this one. I don't really have much else to add, so I'm not going to, but the only way that I think sublimated would be the best choice for a replica jersey, or like a jersey that you would own, is if the actual jersey is sublimated in some cases, like the Burger King or the fish stick, so on and so forth. Other than that, I will take a stitched jersey any day.
All right, good stuff there. And our final fake or authentic statement for this podcast. Fake or authentic, and this one's inspired by Jack Eichel and Buffalo's outrage for people who bought his number 15 jersey. If my favorite player changed his number and I owned a jersey with his old number, I would absolutely have to get a new, updated jersey. Fake or authentic, TC?
I'm going to say fake. If only because, that's a bit more of a sign that you've been watching and following the team and or player for a longer time. There are going to be plenty of people who are just there. It's their first game. They want to get a memento. They're going to get the brand new jersey with the brand new number on it. Whereas the old tried and true fans are going to have the ones with the older number on it.
Good stuff. Beepo?
I'm going to say fake, mainly because of the wording of the question, that I wouldn't necessarily see it as a necessity for me to do. I mean, if my favorite player did change their number, I would definitely think about going and getting a new jersey because, hey, it's an excuse to get a new jersey. Why not? But it's definitely not something I would have to do. And again, I don't really understand some of the outrage because, like TC said, having the original OG number isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just kind of shows you've been with the team for a while. And it's not like he did this right on the switch to Adidas, where everybody bought their Adidas jerseys with the 15 before he ever wore it and never did. He played in the Adidas jerseys for a year. So if you have an Adidas Eichel 15 jersey, then it's not a foul. And if you really wanted to, get the number stripped off and put a 9 on it. Don't do that to your Reebok, so that's a jersey foul.
There is a lot of outrage in Buffalo because people want refunds or free switchovers. It's just this stuff happens. But as far as I'm concerned, if my player, if I had his jersey, but then he changed his number, I would feel compelled to get the new number. I wouldn't renumber the original jersey that I have, but it would just feel like I'm wearing something that's out of date. And so it would push it to the top of my jersey priority list to get a new jersey with the new number on it for me. So that's where that question came from.
And what the Burger King you're wearing now isn't outdated?
Yeah. Where's your...
I don't really understand that argument because I'm sure we all wear a bunch of jerseys that have since been retired.
It would be more like if this is a Gretzky Burger King jersey, if Gretzky, for whatever reason, changed his number in the middle of the year, that he wore the Burger King, yes, I would feel like this is an outdated jersey. And a part of me would be compelled to get another Burger King jersey with whatever number he had changed to. And I would feel shame if I wore this jersey.
I don't agree with you there, but to each their own.
Well, then you're off the podcast.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I have 3 Rangers jerseys, none of which have a current Ranger on them. I've got a Dubinsky Winter Classic. I've got a Nash Home, and I've got a shit.
Well,
I love that player.
Yeah, no. My mind has gone blank.
Aguilar?
No, he was just traded to Tampa Bay.
Callahan,
Former
Miller,
What?
Yeah,
McDonough?
Callahan.
Oh.
Callahan. Yeah,
That's what I thought, but in my head it wasn't registering. It was like, no, it's O'Connelly. No, it's Callahan. No. But yeah. Yeah, and that's on my way. And I've got, Dougie Hamilton on a Bruins jersey. Just because I have these jerseys doesn't mean I'm going to stop wearing them. Like, I'm not going to buy it just because guys way above my pay grade decide that they're going to ship these players off.
and
I have a Matt Duchene Avalanche jersey and a Bo Bennett Penguins jersey, which I'm stripping. Both purchased after they each got traded.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily referencing traded players. Like I got some traded player jerseys too, and that's what happens. I'm more thinking when a player sticks on the same team, like Jack Eichel has, and changes his number. I just feel compelled to get the updated number. Not like I run out and instantly have to get the number 9 jersey, but it becomes top priority on my jersey to-do list to get a number 9 jersey, even though I would already have a number 15 jersey, but I don't ever plan on having a Jack Eichel jersey, so I guess I don't have to worry about this in the long run. We didn't do a great job of promoting the mailbag, so there are no new questions in there. There are still some old questions.
Hey, I just put one in before the podcast. What are you talking about?
All right. Well, I didn't check it just that quickly before the podcast, but we're going to start doing a better job of promoting the mailbag, getting some fresh questions in there. Some of them are kind of left during the playoffs, so they're very playoff-centric questions. But we'll pick up on the mailbag again next week, and we'll do a better job promoting it. But if you want to leave a question in the mailbag, you can email us, mailbag@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, or there's a form on the side of the page on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. You can just leave your question there. Make sure to include your name so we can give you credit. That is what we have for today. As always, we'd like to remind you that there's Jersey Casual merchandise on sale. There's HJC logo stickers. The offer still stands for anybody who buys a Jersey Casual duvet. You will be automatically entered into the Concept of the Year semifinal vote. So if you shell out the money for a Jersey Casual duvet, we'll put you in to the Concept of the Year semifinal vote. Going on right now on Hockey Jersey Concepts is the June monthly vote, as well as our usual weekly vote. And the HJC Open for 2018 hasn't officially begun, but all the rules are posted, and you can get started on your round-robin concept right now. So we had Jets jump out early because he's got a job and responsibilities or something along those lines. So he wanted to say that he hates everybody, and please don't contact him about it. But also, TC, thanks for joining us this week.
Always a pleasure.
And Beepo, thanks for sitting on that fence this week. Well done.
Yep, thanks for having me to sit on a fence.
We love it. It's the best part of the podcast. Thank you for listening, everyone. Again, we want to hear feedback, so be sure to get in contact with us at HockeyJC or mailbag@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. Share the podcast with all your friends. Let's get some people listening. Thanks for listening. Goodbye, everybody.